Sozol opens the hood just fine as far as I can tell. Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to talk about I guess a conclusion or a summary or an explanation to this video, to the video where I actually well, I guess it didn't get on the screen, or it wasn't captured, where I use a Sozol to open the hood on E46. And that's what I did. I used a Sozol to open the hood. It doesn't happen to too many of us, but I had to do it because I really had no other option, and I was really running out of time. And as far as I can tell, as of this moment, that I should have just grabbed the Sozol in first place and just not wasted all that time. And I guess this is the lesson that I wanted to really share with everyone, that if you have a problem with the hood, with opening the hood on E46, just grab a Sozol and just use it. So this is the result of me using that Sozol. How that started, how did that all happen, I guess? What happened? How did that go? Well, I mean, the essence of that problem that happened with that E46. So that E46 had an accident. I showed that in one of my videos. My brother worked on it, well, because he needed to have fun. In essence, he just closed the hood and he couldn't open it after doing that. So that happens. I should say that what he replaced was the hood lock cables. So he replaced all the cables. So if a cable like this rips, then you are going to have a problem naturally. So cables are a part of a problem, or a big part of that problem, and I'm going to talk about the cables a little bit in a little bit. The hood has two locks on these cars, one on the left side, one on the right side, and they look just like this. And by the way, these locks are identical, so there is no left or right. I mean, they are installed on the left and on the right, but this is the same part. So you can just switch them, or you can just whatever. You don't have to hunt for or look for like left or right. It's just one part fits both sides. The second thing is that this lock is installed with 3 screws. Those are M6 threads, and they are internal Torx. In essence, this is the lock. These are the screws that hold it to the radiator support. The lock is installed from either the back side of the radiator support or from under. The problem here arises with the plastics, because you have these plastics. It's just a single piece thing. So you really have to, I mean, you can really kind of peel them off a little bit. Not a whole lot, but you can, as we did in that video. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is that you can remove these 3 screws and pull the lock out of the grill opening. So you have 2 locks, and these 2 locks are connected by a cable that is like this. The way the cable is installed, it just goes in here. As you can see, you just slide the end of the cable right there, then you just turn it, well, I guess you push it and you turn it, and then it just, and that's how it is. And this is I guess the cable that connects these 2 locks. So on the other side, you do the same. You just slide this in like this, and then, well, this one is somewhat broken here, but it will work. And that's how these 2 are connected. So after this, you have one more cable that goes on this lock, the left side. So now on this side, you have that cable, another piece of a cable that goes now from this side of the lock, and it goes to the left behind the headlight. And there is a place where well, not this one, but the cable that goes from the lock, where it connects to another piece of a cable that goes under the dash and comes out where the handle is. So I'm going to show where that thing is. In any case, that second cable comes out from behind of the headlight, and this is the junction, or where this cable connects to the cable that goes under, dives under the electrical box and comes out where the handle is, under the dash. So 3 pieces really three pieces of cable, and any of those can break or rust and lock up, and you would have issues with the hood opening. So this thing opens up. I don't know if anyone ever opened it like this. So when you open this cover, you will have one cable that comes from behind of the headlight, and this is the cable that goes under the dash. So they are joined here, and that's where you can separate them, and that's where you can well, you can separate them and replace them. So three pieces, and each piece can be individually replaced. So this thing just closes like that, and that's pretty much all about cables, I guess, at this point. Now the important thing that are really the bottom line of this whole video: if you have the hood that is locked and stock, first of all you have to remove the grill. We all know that E46 has a grill that's like this. To gain access through the hood that is locked and you're trying to open to the locks, you have to remove the grill. How to remove the grill? Well, I guess it's up to you, but there is really no good way of removing the grill when the hood is locked. So I guess, well, if you have no other option, you just, I guess, destroy the grills. And I probably should figure out how they are removed, because like I said, I don't usually do E46, and I don't really know from the top of my head how these are removed, but I'm really not going to, I guess, try and break something here, because this is not my car. In any case, you remove the grill, and that opens up the access to the lock. So here's one lock, there's another lock on this side. Pretty much the same situation, just mirrored image, I guess, except that there's this, the security thing, that's a little bit in the way compared to this side, but that doesn't change the situation a whole lot, because you have to deal with these plastics. Again, if there is no other option, you kind of break these plastics and then eventually replace them or fix them or something. So that's why I said in the beginning that probably the best way is just get a Sawzall and cut these things that are actually attached to the hood. And I'm going to show those in a second. And just go through this pin. Those are two pins basically that actually go into the lock like that. And that's what actually holds, this thing is attached to the hood, and then it goes into the lock. And there's kind of like a spring inside of the lock. So I guess the bottom line is, instead of trying to get to the lock and try to scratch your hands like I did all over the place, and try to actually undo the lock, because that's what I'm going to show in a second, how to undo it with a screwdriver. So I guess, yeah, it's probably easier to just cut this pin with two pins with Sawzall and then just deal with the rest. Because if you open the hood, you don't have to really break any of these plastics. If you cut this pin, these two pins, then you don't have to break any of these plastics or try to peel them and things like that. So, by the way, I think these plastics are more, for some reason, more rigid on this car compared to that car. This is a different car, but it's still an E46. So yeah, these feel, I don't know, maybe they're just, since no one touched them ever on this car, they are in place. And well, I might be wrong, but in any case, this is the lock. And again, the bottom line of this is, this is the lock. And let's imagine that you are trying to undo this driver's side lock. So it's sitting in the radiator support in this way, and you're going to see this hole here, and like I said, there is a spring, and it's on the side, and you can see that spring, that right there. That's this loop of a wire basically. That's what holds onto the pin. So when you close the hood, this pin slides and pushes that wire or that spring, and that's how this locks. So when you pull the cable, that wire gets out of the way. It goes into it basically recesses into the lock, and that frees up this pin, and the hood opens. So I guess the bottom line is, all you have to do is activate the lock in some way, somehow, so it opens up, unlocks, and the hood and the pin that is attached to the hood comes out of the lock. As you can see, there is one way One way is if you just pull the whole cable. That really does the trick. Well, I guess it doesn't really help because so it's the same thing as if you're pulling on the end of the cable. So basically, if the lock is rusted so much or the cable is broken, you really have no chance of opening it up with the cable, or you don't have a cable. Let's get to the bottom of this thing. In essence, and that's something that I could not understand because I never saw, or if I did, I didn't remember these locks. I never saw these locks, what they look like on the bottom. So this is the top. So if you flip it, that's what it looks like on the bottom. So this is the way it sits. And if you turn it around like that, that's where the cable is attached. And that's the information that I could not get. There was one video that my brother showed me, but it didn't have a good explanation, and I really couldn't really understand, and I couldn't get to this part through the grill opening, I guess. So this is the thing, and that's how it moves. And you can see that there is a place for two cables. So this cable is actually in the right place. This is the left side, and this is the cable that connects this lock to the right side lock. So it's in the proper place. And then you have this cable that is actually coming from behind the headlight, and it comes through this part, and then it goes into this place right here. It goes into this place. The same way as this one is just hooked up here, then that cable is hooked up right here. And all of this is plastic. Well, this tiny part is a metal, is metal, but this is plastic. It's fairly tough. In any case, what you want to do, you want to take a screwdriver or get the screwdriver. So the lock sits here like this. So you want to take the screwdriver, stick it into the lock through the grill opening right here, and just push it and activate it. Activate the lock by pushing the screwdriver. This is the lock, this is the screwdriver, and you're going to be pushing the screwdriver to the left. When you're in the front of the car, it's going to be to the right, but if it's in the car's terms, it's to the left, because that's how everything is on the cars. Doesn't matter how you look at the car, the left is the left and the right is the right. So you have to push the lock to the left. This is the lock, this is the screwdriver. So you don't see any of this, by the way. That's the whole thing. So you have to kind of feel your way and get the screwdriver in a place where you can actually twist it and actually activate the lock without actually seeing any of this. So I'm going to flip the lock this way so you can see. So the lock, again, for 100th time, and it totally makes sense to waste time and explain this properly. So this is the way the lock is, and if you turn it around like that, this is the back side. So you have to put the screwdriver in this gap, basically, right here, into this gap, and you have to, well, you have to push this lever, basically. That's what you have to do to activate the lock. You have to put the screwdriver behind this edge, behind this, again, it sits like this. You flip it, well, I flip it just so you can see it, but this is going to be this side that is opposite of the, on the lock, opposite of the headlight. So this is the headlight side, and this is the grill side. So you have to put the screwdriver, and it's going to be like this again. My hands are just, so it's going to be like this, and so you're going to be pushing the screwdriver, and so you can see this is the gap right here between the lever and the wall, the side of the lock. Push the screwdriver like that, and that's what you have to do with the screwdriver. You're going to have two cables possibly. Well, imagine, well, I have one. So you have the cable right here, and that kind of might actually be helpful to, because it's going to help the screwdriver to find its place, and that's what you need to do. That's how this lock activates, and that's what unlocks the hood. and that's basically how you open it. So if you cannot catch and stick the screwdriver, if you cannot stick the screwdriver into this opening, this gap right here, and if you try to slide across this, then you will never actually be able to activate it. So in any case, if you try to, there's nothing really else to really catch the screwdriver, so you may actually be going across all these surfaces and never be able to really activate the lock. So because you don't see any of this when the lock is in place, and there is no way to remove it because the hood is remove the lock because the hood is over the lock, and it's hard to get to these screws, and it's hard to get to the screws that hold the pin to the hood. You can try, I did, L-shaped Torx wrench. Well, you can try, but a lot of time wasting, and so you should try getting your screwdriver into this gap right here and try to activate the lock like that. If it's not really rusted, so if it still moves, you kind of have a chance of unlocking it. The other side is exactly the same. The problem is on the other side. Now on the passenger side, you have the lock in place like this, and this one is harder because the place where you have to get the screwdriver to is actually on the headlight side here, and it's really like if something falls in front of the radiator, that's not a big deal. You can just stick your hand in here and just reach it because there is like a pocket on the bottom. Here you have to get a screwdriver here and basically get to this part of the lock, the same place really, and just push it. But in this, well, you're still pushing to the left, but you have to get the screwdriver here and move it the same way. And this side was the problem because that side was easy, and I actually unlocked that side. This I could not. I tried to fish through and get to this, and I couldn't. I just the screwdriver would, and I even tried to use a hook. That's another option. If you can come up with like a wire hook, you can try. But as you can see, there's not a lot of a place to really hook to. So on this lock, on the driver and passenger side lock, you will have only one cable coming in from the left basically, and it's just going to be like this. So I guess in a sense this should be a little bit easier because there is an empty space for the second cable that is not present on the passenger side again. So there is a hole right here. So if you can manage to put a hook in here or a screwdriver and just move it like that. So that I guess demonstrates the principle, how this thing works. But like I said, the problem was that I could not get to the place on this side, or maybe this was just so tight that I just could not unlock the lock with the screwdriver. And I tried a smaller screwdriver, a bigger screwdriver. My brother was pushing the hood down and trying to pull it up. We tried everything, and I wasted more than an hour. And then I ended up just cutting this pin with the Sawzall, and this pin was well, that's the next thing that I'm going to talk about. And how to cut this pin, it's not a mystery. So when the hood is closed and you remove the grill, you actually will have a straight shot through here to this pin. So you will have, imagine that this is a blade of the Sawzall, a reciprocating saw. Well, you need a longer blade, about 6 inches, I guess that will do. You will see the pin and you just cut it. And that's what I did. That's what you see here. That's where I cut it. So you actually have to stick the screwdriver through the spring that is taking up the space between whatever this bushing is and the hood, or the part that is attached to the hood. But that's not a big deal. It's just a spring. It's not really in the way. You go through the wire of the spring or through the loops. Not a problem at all, like I said. And you just cut this pin. Oh, I guess we can look at that thingy. So this is the pin that is attached to the hood with 2 bolts. Those are also internal Torx, but I think they're a little bit smaller. I need to look up the sizes. You can try to get to them. If you remove the grill, you can try to get to them right here. you wouldn't have more than maybe just a little bit over an inch of a space or a gap. When I tried to undo these screws with a wrench, it was kind of stripping them. It's just, there's like a really low chance, slim chance of undoing those two bolts. But if you manage to undo these two bolts with a wrench, or maybe some tiny small ratchet with a Torx bit on it, you could probably undo those and open up the hood. In any case, if you have a Sawzall, you just basically go through the grill opening right here and you just cut it like that. That's my advice. If you have a problem with the hood on E46, I guess let's do in conclusion, So if you have a problem with the hood opening on E46, and in essence that you pull the handle that opens the hood and the hood doesn't open and the handle is either too tight or it's just loose, in a sense that it moves, the handle moves, but the hood doesn't pop open, get a Sawzall, cut through these pins and be done with the hood. So once you cut through these pins, the hood will open and then you have all the freedom to remove the cables, to remove the locks, and replacing those pins is not difficult at all. It's only two bolts that hold them in place, and once the hood opens you can just have a good access to those bolts. If they're rusted, tight or anything else, you can use all variety of the tools that have a full access to those bolts. It's not going to be a problem. Yeah, and then you just replace these two pins, I guess that's what I call them. So that's pretty much all that I wanted to capture today. I guess E90 is completely different, the system is different, and well, you still have a cable, but on E90s the locks are different, so that's a different situation. And this should be it for this video. Thanks for visiting my channel, thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe, it doesn't cost you anything at all, you don't spend any money on it, and it really helps me to keep wasting my time on old cars. Well, congratulations to E90, my favorite BMW ever. It's turning 20 years old. 2006 is the first year when E90 came out, but it all started in 2005. The first production units came off the line. In 2025, our cars are 20 years old. Unbelievable. Well, this should be it for this video.